It's me. I'm back. It's been a minute, just like it's always been a minute. Since the last time we talked, I have graduated with my master's degree. Yay! And I also got laid off. No, that's kind of my life right now. Because of that, I'm in that stereotypical, well, I have a master's, but I don't have a job. I thought, what better way to use that free time than to talk about how I'm trying to avoid falling into the despair of all that unstructured free time. That's how we're going to talk about my planning system. Let's get into it. First of all, introduction. Hello, I'm Kareen. Sometimes I go by CM or CM Art Studio. I'm based in Los Angeles. As I said, I recently graduated with my master's in comics. I'm actually working on a webcomic right now. I'm in the scripting phase and we're over halfway through the first season, and I'm very excited because when I'm done with the first season, I'm going to start the art. So that's exciting. And I was laid off earlier this year, as I mentioned. So I'm currently unemployed. I also have ADHD. So that's the kind of flavor of this planning video right now. Here's my caveat. I am unmedicated currently for personal reasons. Just keep that in mind. As someone who is unmedicated and has ADHD, this system works for the most part for me. And even though I'm not going to claim this to be a perfect system and that it may change based on what I need and what my brain wants and whatever, the core of it has stayed the same, and I'm sharing to see if maybe this could help someone else, because that seems to be the ADHD community, is trying to share our hacks and help each other. Now, what to expect about what's going to be in this video? I will be talking about my current system. And again, the core of this system has been working really well for me for like the past few years. It's kind of just like the extra little stuff, like what tools am I using, or things like that that might change, or my approach, right? But the core of it has worked really well for me. So there's 3 stages that I'll be getting into: planning, reminding, and rewarding. I'm not going to get into literally, here's how you should plan. I'm not going to go into like a planning method. I'm just gonna sit here and talk to you and show you things and be like, this is how I plan, without getting into the nitty-gritty of the actual how-to plan, if that makes sense. I also have 4 principles, which I will illustrate within its relevant step. And then finally, I'll go over the fun tools that I use for each thing. So I know the tools are often like the most exciting part of these types of videos, but it is also the aspect that gets switched the most. Like, for a while I was really into bullet journaling, and then I was into Passion Planner, and now I'm really into Hobonichi, right? These tools kind of come and go and switch up based on what we need. I'm just going to talk about what I'm using, what's relevant to me right now. I'm not necessarily endorsing anything except for like a really good calendar, like digital calendar app, just because it works really well for me. I will tell you which things I've always used and then which things are newer. Don't worry, you'll know. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's see how much of this mostly natural lighting I can take advantage of. First part is the planning stage. This introduces our first principle, which is know thyself. Now, what do I mean by know thyself? You gotta know yourself. You gotta know how you work. What's your pace? That's like the first question that I think about when planning a project. You wanna do a painting to represent each month or something, right? You're an artist. I'm an artist, you're an artist, right? And so what's your pace is like, well, how long does it take you to make one of those paintings? Realistically, how long does it take you to make one? And you're honest with yourself, because you have to be honest with yourself. You come up with that number, round up, so you give yourself more time, and then that's your pace. What's your capacity? What are you capable of? Are you capable of doing both this, and this on the same day? In a given day, how much do you think you are capable of doing? And that answer could change day to day, week to week, month to month, etc. But it's still good to kind of keep that in mind. And the next is, what's your bandwidth? And by that I mean, like, how much time do you even have? How much space do you have for your goals? Do you have the space and time available to do the amount of goals that you have, or the amount of things and tasks that you have, right? That's also important. to know and keep track of. And like maybe you don't know, and that's fine. Then you can just explore. Be like, okay, can I do 3 things? Can I do 5 things, etc.? Do I have room for this? You'll know if you have room for it or not. And then we go into how much time do you functionally have, and this isn't just like your appointments and obligations, it's also like your downtime, and like you need to eat. So you got to remember to schedule in like, okay, I'm eating here, or I need downtime here, or I need to nap, or I don't want to work on my weekends, right? So then look at genuinely how much time do you actually have. This isn't about min-maxing your day, even though those plans are very attractive and alluring, but this isn't about that. This is about realistically, honestly looking at your life and looking at how much time and space do you have, and then looking at yourself and going, okay, what's my pace? What am I capable of, right? You gotta know your stats to figure out how to min-max that character, right? You can't min-max the stats. You gotta know what stats you're working with to figure out how to best play. And then, of course, how much time do you actually want to spend, right? What are your working hours? Maybe you want to learn Korean like me, and you think, I'll do 2 hours of Korean every single day. But maybe you try that and you actually don't like it, and then you stop doing it. 2 hours is too much. Drop it to 1 hour, right? So that sort of thing. How much time do you actually want to spend on XYZ? That is all principle 1, know yourself, which is best done when you're planning the plan, right? When you're thinking about how you want to plan your life, your projects, etc. The most important tool I use, I'm sorry to say, is Google Calendar. It's Google Calendar and Google Tasks. Google Tasks was a huge game changer for me, and we'll get into it later. But those 2 things, I've always used that. I've been using that for years. I know Notion is super cool. I know people are into Monday and Airtable and Trello and like all these other cool things, and that's great. You can use whatever you want. I saw AccuFlow and I thought that looked really cool, but Google Calendar is free, and so is Google Tasks, and it has an integration, and I have an Android, so it all works out. Google Calendar has never failed me. Yes, it has its limitations, but again, it's free, it's great, I can adjust the view. In terms of digital tools, I have always used this. That is the number 1 tool. Sorry. If you're like, I want something cooler, that's the one. Google Calendar and Google Tasks. That is my biggest planning tools. Now, something else that sometimes I use is this 18-month calendar. And it's just a monthly planner. It's just a monthly spread. That's all there is. There's some notes in the back. There's some cool to-do lists. I saw this in a fun Japanese stationery store, even though this is not a Japanese product, and I wanted it because I wanted a way to like sketch out the plan before putting it in my Google Calendar. And this is really helpful for that because it's just the months. All the months are back to back, so it's easier for me to visualize and to like see that calendar format and to figure out like how I want to plan things. And it feels like an easier way for me to visualize the year. And then the next thing I use, which I use this way more in certain months than other months. Right now I'm kind of on a decrease of using it. I used it a lot during grad school. I use it the most when I'm busy and have a lot going on. But it's my Hobonichi Techo cousin planner. Sometimes I use this similarly to the 18-month. Sometimes I'll do the 18-month and then put it into here in Google Calendar. This is something I use, and I have used it for planning before. And the nice thing with this version is each day comes with like an hourly schedule thing and like a full page. And there's also like weekly pages. I really like this weekly view in like an analog planner. But I have used it in Google Calendar, but I predominantly am in Google Calendar on the monthly view. So what I used to do was have the Google Calendar month up on one screen and then have this planner open on the weekly spread so I could visualize my week, because this shows like your hours. So then you can also see how much time you actually have available for different things, which, you know, helps with the time blocking. So for example, for this week, I had blocked out all this different stuff, right? So this looks like the weekly view of my Google Calendar, and I have all this open space here. So looking at this, I can go, okay, it looks like I have a lot of space on like Monday, Thursday. So those might be my most productive days. I have some days, like sometime on Tuesday. Let me look at the hours. Let me look at what I want to accomplish. When do I think I can fit that in? And then that's where, again, knowing your pace is helpful, knowing how much you're capable of is helpful so that you don't overbook yourself or overwhelm yourself, right? So if I want to show an example, this is a good one from my grad school, right? I knew these were all my classes, so I would write in like, okay, here's what I need done during this time. And then I knew this was like my free period. So then I would write in what I like needed to do during that time. And then this was also great because of the deadline. I was like, I have to do it at this time, right? Or I don't have any time, I'm not doing anything here, so I have to do this here sort of thing. I have to do XYZ here. So again, kind of feel like I blocked in my hard set, like I have to do this, and then looked at how much time I had and then try to fill in so that I would know what I'm doing. So again, during this time, I had this thing open so I saw it all the time. That's kind of like the basis of the actual like planning process is look at what you've already got planned. That's like a social obligation or an appointment or a class or whatever. That's like you would put in your Google Calendar immediately. See how much time you have in between there. Go into your tasks list. And so I put all my to-dos into Google Tasks because it's already integrated in the calendar. And that's where I might go into the weekly view to kind of look at, okay, where should I put it? And then the task sidebar just has all your tasks and when they are due. And you can set it to like the time or you can set it to the day. And then the best part, you can check them off, which is super satisfying. Because what I used to do is make my tasks as like all day events, but then you couldn't check it off. But with these, you can check it off, and that's fantastic. Now we're going into the second principle to kind of round out this planning stage. And that is try to avoid overwhelming yourself. And you can definitely, and I have definitely visually overwhelmed myself with just how much stuff is on my calendar, which is part of why I like the differentiation of my tasks for my calendar, because I can turn my tasks off so that I can actually look at how much time I have. Like I can turn the tasks calendar off. I'm a very ambitious person and there's a lot of things that I want to do, but at the end of the day, my capability doesn't always match my ambition. And that's not a bad thing. It's just something I have to work with. And if you have ADHD, maybe you experience something similar to that, right? So this involves lowering your personal bar, which again is personal and only you know what that bar is. And you might be thinking, wow, I didn't even do that much. And then your friend is like, what are you talking about? You've done so much. So it's literally our brains are tricking us. But lowering your internal bar of how much you have to get done to something that's more sustainable and less overwhelming so that you actually do get it done. So what I've been trying to do is limit how much I want to get done to like what I can visually see right on the calendar. So if I can see the tasks, if it's not more than like 4, that's what my tasks are, right? That's how much I need to get done. That's what I would recommend. So like open your Google Calendar monthly view and have your little tasks, add them to your day. If there are tasks you cannot even see, you've got too many tasks, right? I think that's just, even with unstructured time like this, for me personally, I think that's just a good starting point, and just for me, that's just what works. Because I also don't want to get super overwhelmed with, oh my God, there's like so many things on my calendar, because then I won't even want to do anything. So that is something I would really recommend, and is a principle for me, is to avoid overwhelming myself. And if I do that, I'm setting myself up for success, and then I can more consistently and sustainably continue to achieve the steps. The next stage, reminding yourself. I do want to caveat with, we're not going to get into like how to actually execute the plan too much, like super solid how to do it, which might be frustrating because I know that's what us people with ADHD struggle with like the most. But these next two stages certainly help with the execution portion. And that's why they are crucial to my personal planning system on getting things done. So I've made the plan. You've made the plan. It's a beautiful plan. We've made so many plans before. How do we stick to it? I personally think the most important thing you can do is to constantly remind yourself, which leads to my third principle, which is redundancies are fail-safes, right? Redundancies will save your life and your ass. One of the things that is very frustrating about my ADHD is if I don't see it, it's like it doesn't exist. Things like this, like these sort of goals and milestones and projects, I need to constantly see it and be reminded of it, especially if it's not like a habit already. Additionally, especially for me, the more steps it takes to access it, the less I want to do it. And this varies from day to day. Like today, I made my rice, no problem. But on a really bad day where I'm also depressed, making the rice feels like I can't do it because it feels like too many steps, right? Today, the steps felt like 3 steps, but on a bad day, making rice feels like 15 steps. Removing any amount of steps to seeing and accessing what your original plan was and what you had wanted to do, and also making sure that it stands out and it doesn't like blend in with the background is really important. The most important part of this is when I'm finally like, okay, I'm using it, when I'm in a using it mode, I will take whatever I put into Google Calendar and put it in here. Because the act of writing it is reminding myself of everything, even if I never look at it again. But if I have it open, it's in my calendar and it's in here. And I can see it in 2 different areas. I have multiple screens. What I love about Google Calendar, again, I can just put it up on one of my screens so I always see it. It's always there. It's like the desktop background, but I reference it so much that I don't like forget about it. It's there, which is really important. I think one of the ways to prevent your thing from fading into the background is you have to interact with it a lot. So another thing that I do, which I've been doing for years, is I create a 1-page brain dump of everything I want to accomplish that month. I usually make this at the beginning of the month. Sometimes it's in the middle of the month. And I just write out everything that I want to do that month. You'll notice I've checked things off. So because I'm interacting with it, it doesn't blend in as much to my wall space, right? Because I have things here to check off, right? Like, I want to write 13 chapters. It's not going to happen. But I did write chapter 12 today, right? So I went in to circle it and check it off. That's like really important to me. And there's like all this other stuff here that I'm like checking off. And I create opportunities for me to do that. Even down here, these little like dots for me to X off, right? Up here, dots for me to X off. That is really important to me because it's interactive. I'm interacting with it. So I don't forget that this exists, right? And it also helps that I put it up on the wall, like right in front of me. And it's also next to, I do the same for my 2024 resolutions, which I can also like interact with and tally and stuff and keep track of it, which this basically acts like a progress tracker, right? So which progress is motivating for me. So I can see, you know, how much I've gotten done because I created the little progress tracker right here and it's out there and it's visual. I don't have to open this. I don't have to open my phone. All I have to do is find a Sharpie or a pencil to circle that in and cross it off. This is coming from years of, I used to play piano and violin, and or my mom would draw little apples that we would cross off because I needed to practice it 5 times or whatever. So that's where I got the thought for this, but like, this is not a unique thought. There's tally marks, there's everything. It's just progress tracking included with what you want to do. So I always call this my brain dump. It has everything I want to do that month. I don't always complete it, but it is helpful to at least remind me, oh yeah, I gotta do that. When I don't have this, and I've had months where I don't have this, like August, I didn't have something like this, there's no focus. I feel very like I'm floundering. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's it's a worse time. This helps so much. Now I will say that was a white piece of paper with, I usually use black Sharpie and blue Sharpie. I think high contrast is really helpful to make sure that you pay attention to it and that you notice it and see it. For a bad example, I have this, which is my Korean study plan, and I thought it would be eye-catching because it was on red paper, and I don't have anything that's red on my wall. But the actual contrast of the black pen on the red paper is not that strong, so it kind of I just glazed over it. I didn't see this as individual things. And there's no interactivity with it, so I'm not paying attention to it. This really did blend in with the background, and I still have it up for some reason, even though I don't pay attention to it. Calendars, I have a lot of calendars, so I can always see what my month is, which again, I have a calendar right here, I have a calendar right in front of me. Just, even if there's nothing on the calendar, I always have a visualization of the month, of what does my month look like? What day is it? How much time do I have left in the month? Even though there's nothing on the calendar. If I'm on top of my planning game, I will transfer whatever's on my Google Calendar, usually just the appointments. I don't like to put the tasks. I'll put the appointments and the deadlines onto my actual wall calendar. And that is helpful because then I can see, oh yeah, I have to do XYZ. It's redundant. It's like, how many calendars do you need? But it just helps to be surrounded by it just so I always have it. Because one calendar might blend in, but then the other calendar might not, right? Or you might, for some reason, you're not using your computer, you're forgetting to open Google Calendar, but then you have your wall calendar, which doesn't need to be open because it's already opened, right? So again, those redundancies are fail-safes. I even have a whiteboard calendar, which I haven't even updated, which I need to update, but I have a whiteboard calendar that when I was updating, it was like a stick-on that I stuck onto like my bathroom door, so when I'm using the bathroom, I can see that calendar and what I have coming up. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do that, right? While I'm on the bathroom. Redundancies are your best friend here because you want to eliminate any obstacle to accessing what your goals are, what you have planned that day, what day it is, what the rest of the month looks like, how much time you have left in the rest of the month. Just removing all those obstacles is extremely, extremely important. There's more. This is one of the most important steps of making sure I actually do it, because often I just forget. Here's the real reason why I love Google Calendar and Google Tasks. Widgets. Widgets are your best friend. Personally, I know some people don't like stuff on their phone, home screen, whatever, that's fine, but you don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can do whatever you want to do. But I highly recommend, and my life depends on, widgets. So the way I have this structured, I do have my Animal Crossing Pocket Camp widget here, RIP, if you know, you know. Holding on to that for as long as I can. But on my first page, I have my Google Calendar widget. So this, again, doesn't have my tasks. It only has my appointments. So in the morning or whenever, I can look at it and be like, okay, what do I have today? What do I have to go to today? What do I have to show up for today? That's on my first page. Now, nothing. These are all notes. I use this app called Kumo, and it's just these cute notes. And these are also widgets that I tag onto here. So like my grocery list usually goes here, right? So that my grocery list is here. I don't have to like open too many things. Again, it's convenient. Convenient, less things to open. Now this, I have to get to this page anyways because my important apps are here. If I want to use Spotify, I have to go to this. This is also where my tasks, my Google Tasks widget is. And this tells me everything I need to do today. And this you can like check off, etc., whatever, right? And that's what I love. They're both separate things. So again, Google Calendar, just my note widgets, and then my Google Tasks. And then recently, so something I often struggled with is I would have things I'd want to do every single day. But again, if I added them to my tasks list, I felt like I was cluttering my calendar. And then we get to, again, what I just talked about, I was overwhelming myself. It felt like I had so many things to do. Even if it was like exercise, right? Or studying Korean. And I'm like, I want to do this. every day or whatever, it would clog up my tasks and overwhelm my calendar and overwhelm me, and it made me less productive because it felt like I had so many things to do. I didn't want to look at it anymore, right? It made me avoidant. What I have recently started doing, and this is new, but so far I'm really into it, is I downloaded this habit tracker app, which I've downloaded so many, and habit trackers are, in general, if I have to go into the app, I don't really like to use it. But this is a really simple one called like habit loops or loops. I don't remember what it goes by. It says habits, but it used to be loops. It's like, anyways, you can find it. And I wrote in all the habits that I want to do like every day. But the most important part is I created the widgets to go here, so I don't have to go into the app to check it off. I can check it off here, and it's all on my home screen so I can see it. So again, that is arguably the most important part. I go to this screen all the time, so I'm always going to see this, so I will always be reminded, right? Again, it's a bit of a redundancy, but it's there. It's reminding me. And this way, it's separate from my Google tasks, which are more project-oriented, like here's what I need to do for this zine fest, or here's what I need to do for my webcomic, or here's what I need to do for this application, right? Here's this XYZ deadline, right? That is all like in my tasks. But then for like the habits, like exercise or studying or whatever, that goes into this habit tracker thing, and I have the specific widgets on the home screen, so they all live separately, right? So to me, so far, it's working. I like that I get the color when it lights up. I have like a little color coordinated thing going on. So yeah, to recap, Google Calendar on the first one, so I can see like my obligations that I cannot miss, my appointments, the scheduled stuff. Then my to-do list, which are project, task-based things that aren't necessarily repeated. They're like unique tasks. And then the actual habits that I want to do every day. Because I have to be constantly reminded, because I'm not going to remember. I'll forget. So that, so far, I'm really enjoying. It's going well. Another thing. Ooh. If you played a musical instrument as a child, then you may know what this is. And I'm sorry if this traumatizes you. Long story short, I had to buy a bunch of these because I was doing private lessons very briefly for some 8-year-old kid that didn't want to learn violin, but his mom was determined that he should learn violin. So I bought a bunch of these for like, I don't know, nothing. And then I ended up having so many of these. Now this is a practice record, and I know it looks childish, but it is set up by week. And look at this open space. And look at these music notes that you can color in. It's just perfect for writing out the tasks I need to do. This is my current week. So I have I want to write 4 chapters of Portal House. There's podcast stuff I need to edit. And then the jobs I want to apply to, which again, look, I'm putting little things I can check off. And then the bonus stuff that I want to do. And I also need this room for the stickers, which we'll get into. This is the final part. But this, again, kind of goes hand in hand with, this is another place that what I need to do lives, and I always have it open to this, and it's kind of tucked away, but it is still, sometimes I have it right in front of me, but it's still here, right? I don't have to open my planner. I don't even have to look at my tasks or look at my phone. Here's another analog place. It's out in the open. And it kind of forces you to limit it to the space available, because when it's completed, then it looks something like this. And I'll write anything that I really need to get done in here. Related to that, up here, you've got my clipboard. This usually is more so I have a lot of chores I need to do, so I'll write it here and I can just access it. But again, it just lives up here and is easy for me to access and check off and stuff. Or I'll write my packing list or whatever. So it's just another access point for me to do stuff. That's literally how many things I have to remind me, hey, here's what you need to do. Highly recommend. If you have ADHD, you've got all this stuff, but if one of your problems is you keep forgetting what you need to do, then you need more reminders, in my opinion. And just go crazy, get creative, etc. Because maybe the sticking point in the execution is simply I forgot my own goals, because that is definitely a sticking point for me, right? It's not even I don't want to do it, it's I forgot that this is what I was supposed to do. I will say I am not a fan of like some people, they have like, oh, the phone turns on and goes, hey, you got to do this. Personally, I don't like doing that, because then it feels like it's bothering me, and then I pay less attention to it because it feels like it's annoying. And I might think, oh, but like I'm doing something right now, which is why I've kind of moved away from time blocking in terms of like, here's my art hour, here's my this hour, etc. Right now, it doesn't feel right for me. I just have this is what I need to do today, I just need to get it done, right? So I don't want to be constantly told and notified, hey, you have to do XYZ by my phone, because I'll just get annoyed. I only want that for like, I have an upcoming appointment to get me ready to like leave. Now, the final thing, and this is also just as important as the reminders, if not more important, because this goes into motivation. The final thing is to reward yourself. And that is also my final principle, is you gotta reward yourself. Now, for some people, this could be as simple as crossing things off. And I love crossing things off a to-do list, so this is still part of the rewards. But the more important reward for me, and the most consistently effective reward I have found, is stickers. I give myself a sticker every time I do something I'm supposed to do. These are from Passion Planner because I like their stickers, and it was kind of expensive. So I only use these stickers as rewards for doing what I was supposed to do. And because I bought these specifically as reward stickers, I don't feel bad sticking them onto things. So the Seasons of the Year one, just to kind of explain, I use specifically for when I exercise. So I have a calendar here, which is the Megan Wong Rizzo calendar, which I've been getting for a few years now. And I put a sticker for every time I exercise, every independent activity that I exercise, right? So when I walk, that's a sticker, and when I'm working out, that's a sticker. So you can see, I've been doing this for a while. There's not much here because I was in grad school. And it is very motivating, right? It's also kind of a funny mental health tracker, because when there's no stickers and it's not like the weekend, it's like, ooh, I wasn't feeling it that month. Like March was a bummy month for me, and February started to get there, right? At this point, I was giving myself small stickers for walks, so that was all I was doing. And then January, yeah. So I've been using stickers for workout motivation for, as you can see, a while, and then my past calendar looked like this too. The stickers are cute. I get to fill out my calendar, which again feels like progress tracking, and I get to like use these nice stickers and put them somewhere. It's just nice to use and to give yourself, because you only get it when you exercise. Actually got that idea from my mom, and she also used stickers as like, yeah, you got a good job on your summer homework or whatever. I used to use this for tasks in general, but recently I've decided to split it. But it's only like for rewards. Now, the other place I will use stickers, I don't always use the practice record. Sometimes I don't need it, right? Sometimes I'm completing my stuff and I'm not even checking it off on here, and that's my cue of like, okay, I guess I don't need it. But recently I'm trying to use it again because I need a little extra motivation, which means extra rewards. So you can see some of these seasonal stickers here. But what I've started doing is using this mostly unused sticker pack for just tasks that I need to get done. So again, this is going to be an avenue for sticker rewards. Sometimes it might look like that, right? Which feels really good because it's like the whole thing is covered in stickers. You like stickers already. I cannot understate the power of giving yourself stickers for doing something good. It's like the gold sticker preschool thing, but you're an adult and you can spend $10, $15 on these bougie sticker packs specifically to reward yourself when you do something well, and you cannot give it to yourself or use them unless you did a thing, right? Which is also, in the grand scheme of things, a cheaper way to reward yourself. I know some people are like, I go and get myself Bobo, or I get myself Starbucks, whatever. I've tried that, but at some point I'm like, this is costing me money that I don't have. But this is like I bought these years ago, and I'm nowhere near close to finishing. And generally what I also do, so I don't have to open the book, they have perforated sticker sheets, so I rip them out so they're out and ready. This isn't I'm not shilling for Passion Planner. I just like their stickers. I'm just saying you can use any kind of stickers, and I used to use these holographic star stickers that weren't as fancy but were still satisfying to give myself. So again, the rewards are really important. I would recommend stickers if you're into stickers, just something that you can give yourself as soon as you complete the thing. You give us literally, sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to walk, but I want to give myself a sticker. That's what I'll do. Or I'll walk and immediately I have to give myself a sticker. You have to reward yourself. The other reward you can give yourself is fun days. And honestly, when you are planning, you should plan breaks. I don't plan anything on the weekend. I try not to. Make sure you plan breaks for yourself, and make sure you plan fun days. And sometimes, I don't always use the fun days as rewards, but just more I've been doing a lot. Let me give myself a fun day. That's important because it gives you something to look forward to. Sometimes I'll be like, wow, I have a free weekend. I've been working really hard. I'm just going to play The Sims that weekend. I'm not going to do anything except play The Sims. And it gives me something to look forward to. Or again, if you want, you could also do okay, I'm not going to do anything after 8 o'clock, and if I get all my stuff done, then I can watch TV or play The Sims or do whatever. Or just even after this hour, I'm done. I'm off the clock. I can do whatever I want. So rewarding yourself, very important. You need to do it because otherwise, I know people talk about having a vision and this is what you're working for and this is why you're doing it, but sometimes you're gonna think, why am I doing this anyways? And if your answer is so I can play The Sims for 16 hours straight, or so I can give myself a cute sticker of a cat, maybe that's all you need for that right now to trick your brain to keep going. That is my system. That is what I do. I plan out what I want to do. I sit down, have a fun planning session, and then I remind myself all over the place, this is what you wanted to do, remember, and then I reward myself by giving myself stickers. That is the TLDR of what the system is. I hope that was helpful. I hope it wasn't too long. That's the system. That's what I use. So I'd love to hear what you use, if you try any of this, if it works for you or not. But if you want a video on how I actually make the plan, then let me know and I'll see what I can do. So this is how I try to stay on track with my goals as someone who's a creative person with ADHD. So if you like that, let me know your thoughts, etc. I'd love to hear it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.